I took the last few days off on purpose. Took the last few days off because today's a big day for me. So the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends comes out with their top 100 in every category for every brokerage, for everybody throughout the world. And I got a call yesterday that I ranked number one throughout the entire world, through all agents. I've never been once. I was number one in 2019, and that's a big thing for me. So that's a huge accomplishment that I've worked for the last 9 years. And I got that call yesterday about 3 o'clock. So this morning, 8 o'clock, that news will come out this morning. So watch for the Real Trends 2019. All the other winners who get acknowledged, they're going to be in the Wall Street Journal. It'll be everywhere. Anyone that's in real estate will see it. And that's big. So that's huge, right? I mean, at the end of the day, anyone that's in a position that wants to be the best at what they do, when you get to that point, I mean that's just good. That just feels great, right? So that's where we're at. So 2019 Real Trends came in number one. Best I've ever done before that was number 7, and I was 10 the year before. So just wanted to come on here real quick and just provide a little bit of the story of how it got there, because I think a lot of people see the end result but don't understand all the hurdles and the struggles and everything that you got to get through to get there. So at the end of the day, just to go through my story real quick. Year 1, I did 7 transactions. Year 9, I did over 500, right? So big move. So 7 to 500, and right now I'm working on the next step and the next level. What I'm working on next, the next challenge, if you will, right? So the next challenge is starting now, and I got to start over, right? So every 10 years they say people change. So I'm year 10 now. It's time to change and move on to that next challenge and that next thing that I'm going to strive to be the best at. So I just want to make sure everybody knows at the end of the day, guys, anything is possible. Anything is possible, and you have to have that mentality, and that's real. That's about as real as it gets. Like when I started out, there was hurdles again, like I said, along the way, and some of the ones that I'm gonna talk about now and talk about today are things that you're gonna experience along your way. Whatever that is you're looking to be great at, be good at, be whatever at. You want to be the best violin player ever, there's going to be people hating on you from the time that you start until the time that you become the best violin player ever, right? So I'll never forget when I started, probably year 2, one of my best friends was buying a house, and he and his wife, they were renting one of the houses that I had, and they were looking to buy whatever. So they called me up. They were like, "Hey, let's go out. Let's start looking at a house. Cool, let's go." I'm pumped. I get to help my friend. I already worked with random people. Now I get to work with a friend. So we go to the first showing and don't hear back from him for like a week or 2. I'm like, cool. Then one night I go out with him and another buddy. We go out, grab dinner or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, look, man, I just want to let you know, we're going to work with another agent. We think that this business isn't for you. We just don't think this is the right fit for you. You're not really good at it. We think that we're going to work with someone that my wife's friend is." And deep down, I want to tell him to go F himself, right? You're supposed to be my boy. I got your back, whatever. You're supposed to be there for me. You're supposed to be no matter what. You're supposed to be, the guy. If anyone uses me as an agent, it should be you. Year 2, 7 deals in, could have been a good momentum. One of my friends used me, and these two decide to go use somebody else, right? So think about that. Year 2, I could have quit right there. I could have said, All
right, everybody. Welcome to Think Tomorrow. I'm sitting alongside Kyle Seyboth, obviously real estate agent. Just wanted to show a quick video of his, obviously his motivation, things that he's doing in his career, his life there, what motivates him every day. Kyle, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. So yeah, obviously wanted to get you on, of course. Small Business Mondays, for those of you who haven't been watching the last couple. Obviously the idea is to have small businesses, different people that are entrepreneurs. Obviously you run your own team there, Kyle, the Seyboth team with Keller Williams. What are some of the things that you've been working on with Keller?
So really more like in-house, right? So now I'm at a point where I need to get this back end, that administrative part of the business, really on point. So I'm trying to add enough, basically trying to figure out how much back end support I need to facilitate the front end sales and what that equation looks like, right? So how many back end support staff per basically transaction do I need to continue to move forward? And that's where I'm trying to figure out right now. So working on that, figuring that out, as well as continuing to bring more business in and continue to increase my marketing and advertising.
No, that's awesome. And I think no matter where you are in your business, whether you're well established or just starting out, I think that's a very fair point to make, is that you're always prospecting, right? You're always trying to find new leads, new ways of doing things, going Facebook Live, whatever, what have you. Obviously the industry is very interesting right now to say. We had what everyone kind of called a seller's market for the last couple of years. Do you firmly believe we're still in that kind of seller's mentality, or are we starting to see a dynamic change there?
No, we're still in a seller's market. It's probably one of the worst seller's markets I've seen in my 9 years. And what I mean by that is inventory so low that buyers really don't even have a chance to look at the property more than once. You look at the property for 15 minutes and you have to decide whether you want to buy the house or not. So this is a pretty deep seller's market. There's not very many houses to purchase. And when you find the right house, you need to pay over asking price.
Yeah, definitely. It's been obviously a unique and very dynamic time. Did COVID really affect? Obviously, it affected the business, right? Transactions were different. I was fortunate to buy a house during it, using Keller Williams, just a different team, right? But you guys have a good team where, in general, just the overall structure. What kind of sets you guys apart though? Like, because you're kind of like your own franchise, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do my own thing. I'm under the Keller Williams umbrella, but I really just handle my own thing and do my own thing. What sets us apart, I mean, for me, I think is number one, experience. Number two is my ability to be flexible with my clients, whether it's a 60-year-old single man or a 35-year-old married couple with one kid. I mean, I'm able to be flexible enough to understand the wants, needs, and desires of each client and make that happen, as well as the wherewithal to get a deal done. I mean, real estate, like anything else, is there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be hurdles, there's going to be things you need to battle through to get the deal to the finish line. And that's my job to get it there.
No, definitely. And it's obviously very team oriented, right? I don't think you probably couldn't do it alone. It would be tough.
No, so well, let's talk about that though, because I am the only person that does any of the sales. As far as the sales, all those transactions are just me. Now, with that being said, my support staff is big because I need to have administrative help to help with everything else. So what I've learned to do is leverage everything that doesn't produce income. And anything that produces income, that's where I'm best suited. So everything else gets leveraged off and passed on to my team, and then I get to do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Yeah, so like I said, dynamic changes in the industry. Obviously, transactional wise and operational wise, it definitely affected you guys. Did it affect closing dates at all? Did it take an extra week or 2 weeks or?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly didn't affect me as much as I thought it would have. It affected probably a 2 or 3 week period. Outside of that 2 week span, I've been gangbusters doing 15 to 20 deals a week for the last, 8 weeks. So outside of that 2 to 3 week period where it slowed a little bit, we've seen a huge catapult back into the, activity and volume.
Right. Yeah. And things are going to start picking up, right? The economy's starting to come back a little bit. Obviously, there was some fear in the last couple weeks. I just came back from Florida, and that was right at the time where there was a hot spot, so they say. And, increase in cases, obviously the fear is there, but hopefully it doesn't impact us economically the way it did originally. Hopefully we can adjust. I think we've seen a lot of businesses adjust, especially like retail businesses. As far as your business goes, like you had the ability to work from home. Were you working at home or did you still go in the office?
No, I'm in the office every day. I'm on the road. I actually very rarely go. I mean, I get to the office about 6:45 every day. From 6:45, I'm usually here till about 8:30, and then I'm not back in the office till 8 o'clock at night. I'm usually on the road that entire time.
Wow. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, staying busy. I think that's something we're all striving to do, especially during the environment we're in. Just finding new ways to make money and Obviously, in a dynamic shift that we've seen, and from a marketing standpoint, especially in real estate, specifically in your industry. I guess what are some of the overall trends that you're seeing, right? So we can talk interest rates, however you want to take it, sales, pricing, where are we at?
Yeah, I think the trends that I'm seeing now, there's two big trends that came out of COVID-19. Number one, more and more people will work from home. And what does that mean? That means that they're going to really have to understand and like their homes, right? So you're going to start to see a lot of people that are going to start to sell their houses because they're not big enough for them to work and live there. Number two, I think one of the trends that we're starting to see is that rates being so low, buyers are having more affordability and they're pushing the limits on the pricing that they can go to. So unlike before where you're seeing buyers really kind of pulling back and being nervous, buyers are getting wicked aggressive. So I would say the aggressiveness with buyers and the ability for a seller to, say, hey, look, this house isn't going to fit me working and living here. I need a bigger house. That should at some point catapult us into the next wave of more listings, but it hasn't happened yet, but it will.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense as far as from an industry standpoint, high level where we're at. And I one of the things we didn't do earlier on was kind of just break down that video. I know it was a longer 15 or so minutes, but where were you thinking that it was Friday, right? So obviously end of the week. Clearly you're probably not the person that says, oh, it's Monday. Great. Every day is a good day to be productive, right?
Right. Nah, there's no such thing as Monday. And that's just how it is. I mean, every day it's Groundhog Day. Every day is the same thing. Every day is the same opportunity over and over again. And when I say Groundhog Day, I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I mean that to the sense that at the end of the day, I have the same chance and opportunity today that I had yesterday, and I'll have tomorrow and the day thereafter. It's on me to go ahead and take this thing and bring it to the next level and really produce for my staff, my team, so on and so forth.
Interesting.
So I don't believe in Monday. I don't believe in days.
Yeah, I think I remember watching a few of your videos, and obviously we'll get into the motivational aspect of what obviously motivates you aside from real estate, in your general life and what gets you going every day. But obviously I think you mentioned something along the lines of, those days they're kind of made up. They're artificial, right? We weren't all born on this earth having 7 days or 365 in a year, right? They're artificial. If you look at Monday and oh, it's Monday, it's a mentality thing, I think.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the days of the week, they are man-made, right? We decided that there's a Monday, a Tuesday. Who said that's okay? Society has taken to that and said that's okay. But at the end of the day, it's another day. We just move on. We happen to name it Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and whatever. And we said there's 7 of them and 365 in a year. But that's not, no one said that's Bible. No one said it's the Bible. I mean, that's just the way that we've manifested over time, and that's what we live by. But I don't believe in that at all. I believe in, every day is a new opportunity. And if you go into the mindset, think about anything. Whenever you think about when you're going to go on vacation, right? That day before vacation seems to be the longest day in the world because you can't wait to go. You can't wait to get away. You can't wait to get out of whatever you're doing. I used to do 9 to 5. So that day before I go away or take a vacation lasted 5 million hours because you just were it was a mindset. Your mind was mentally checked out and the day lasted so much longer. Whereas a lot of people now, Friday comes, their mindset is that we can't wait for the weekend. Sunday comes, oh no, Monday's right around the corner. For me, Friday comes, Saturday's just like Sunday. Saturday's just like Monday. Sunday comes, Monday don't mean anything to me. Doesn't matter. Right.
No, I mean, yeah, if you look at it from that aspect, I mean, like you said, artificial days, man-made. If you look at it from a light of, every day could be a great day and you're just waking up and having that mentality and just being just self-motivation, right? And I think actually one of the things that you mentioned, we talked about this before, over our comment thread, was that, motivation runs out. There was something else that you said, though. Do you remember the word? You said motivation can run out. There was something else that just doesn't, drive maybe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean,
or structure, or there's a word. I'll think of it at some point. But there was some kind of word that you described that obviously you can have motivation, but you can only watch so many motivational videos, right? You can only have so many.
Yeah, you either have it. I mean, at the end of the day, right? The motivation and that, but you have to have it inside of you. If you don't have it in you, you can't. You're never going to get there, right? You're going to be fake motivated. they're going to be motivated until it's not going to be motivated anymore. So if you have that inside of you and that drive and desire to be the best and that passion, that's going to carry you forward. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that passion for it and it's more of a smoke and mirrors thing, that will only last so long.
Yeah, definitely. And it's only going to, exactly, you're going to run out of that fire. You're going to need some kind of drive and something else aside from that.
You're going to need to pour gasoline on it.
Yeah, no doubt. Perfect segue to start talking motivation, the topic, right? We can go anywhere you want with this. So obviously there's certain things in your life that probably life experiences, maybe you had a great family upbringing. Like, where did this motivation in your life really start? Did it start when you were 10, 11? Like, where did it start for you?
Yeah, I mean, it started when I was young. I mean, I always had, my parents pushed the hell out of me, right? So I was pushed pretty hard to be, you know, the best at everything I did and to work the hardest. And one thing that they instilled in me was that, you know, we don't want to hear you're lazy. We don't want to hear you're not working hard. Go out there and work hard. Like, that was the biggest thing that I took away from my entire childhood, and that carried through, right? So that hard work mentality, you know, and one thing I never got caught up in, a lot of people go by that work smarter, not harder. To me, that's lazy. I get it, right? I get it. At some point, you can work smarter, not harder, and there's ways you can leverage and you can start hiring and doing different things. But too many people take that work smarter, not harder saying, and they try to do it day one. You didn't do anything to prove that you have the entitlement to work smarter, not harder. At the end of the day, you have to work, you have to achieve that. You don't deserve that right off the bat. That takes time, right? So I think there's a lot of people that go down that path and they start with that mentality too soon. That mentality that's a privilege. That's not a right. And that's one of the things I would say that's one of the takeaways that I've had is I've always been in the camp that, hey, until I get to a certain level, I got to work hard. I have to go 14, 16, 18 hours a day to get to that point where I have the privilege and I have the ability to start to work smarter.
No, that's great. Great to hear. So clearly it's a self-motivational thing. Were there ever any influences, right? Like public figures, like for me, it was Tom Brady, like other public figures that motivated me to be where I was. But is there anybody that sticks out to you?
I never really got into saying like an athlete. I don't know. I really have a hard time looking at someone and say I want to be just like them. I want to be the best version of me. So I never had someone I was like, oh, I want to be that guy. I want to be that person. Now I've emulated certain things from certain people and taken some things from certain people and said, I want to do something similar to what they're doing and take this piece and that piece. But I never had anyone that really did that. I would say my dad was probably the one who kind of influenced me the most on this. He's the one that instilled it, really instilled that sense of hard work and determination and drive.
Oh, that's great. And I was hoping you'd say somebody, probably like a family member, right? A father,
yeah,
or something like that, right? Because even in my life, you know, I've had people that come and go, right? Family, friends, right? It's always going to be this kind of cycle of ways, but you always have those people that are always close and they kind of always will be.
Yeah, and you can't trust. I mean, people come and go, man. People come and go, and you got to find in you who's a fit for you. And family, friends, or whatever. But you got to be careful as I continue to grow. I'm careful who I trust now. I look for motives. I watch, I see, I listen, I learn. So you got to be really careful with that.
Yeah, and I think I have that. I've kind of developed that gift myself. It's something that you get with experience, with time. Like somebody can tell you, don't do this, don't do this. I've done it. I've been there. But until you kind of experience it, you don't really know what they mean sometimes. So I feel that way too, for sure. And then you can kind of read somebody within the first maybe even 30 seconds. You can kind of just get to know, depending on the way the mannerisms, where they're looking. If they're not looking in your eyes, they're looking over here. They're like, you can clearly tell that they're not either interested or they're someone you probably couldn't trust. So
my interview process is in my mind a 30-second process, in the sense that I know in 30 seconds if you're going to fit. And I turn off or turn on in that 30 seconds. I'm either like, I'm not listening to this person anymore, or all right, let's go. Let's hear what you have to say. And I think that's a gift that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think a lot of it, like you had said earlier, it has to come within you, right? You can't have one person like a Tom Brady run your life. Like maybe you take, like you said, a couple pieces here and there. And that's kind of how I looked at it. Like I didn't want to be a quarterback. Like I just took motivation and I used it in my life. But at the end of the day, I mean, at least 80 or 90% has to be you though.
I would say absolutely. If you don't have, again, you have to have that self-motivation. You have to have that drive. You have to have a passion to do something. You have to have a desire to do something. If you don't have that will to win, the want to win, the will to be better, it's fool's gold. It's never going to happen. A lot of people can talk about it, but how many people can be about it? Right? So talking about it is easy. Oh, I want to do this. This is my goal, da-da-da. Now let's see you execute, right? So you always say you gotta have a vision, you gotta have a plan, and you gotta execute. So you can't do one of three. You gotta do all three. And if you can't do all three, I don't want to hear you say you never got there. You don't want to make excuses. People start to make excuses why they didn't get there. Well, you didn't do all three. You didn't plan. You didn't have a vision. You didn't execute. And that's on you. I can't tell you what your goal should be. You should tell me. You need to tell me what your goals are. And you need to have goals, not because you think they're goals I want to hear. You need to have goals that you want. Your goals are going to be different than mine.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a really important word, which you actually broke down, the word excuse or excuses.
Right.
Like, are those kind of fabricated like mentalities? Like for me, I'm very go with the flow. Like, I mean, like we just kind of out of nowhere just went live. We're like, we just got to do this. So
yeah.
Obviously we could have prepped whatever, but you know what? It's all about authenticity and having that integrity, right? But for me, it was, I don't make excuses, right? If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it myself because I know I'm going to do it right, or at least try to, and I might make a mistake. But for me, the excuse of like, oh, I could do this, I should have done this. You can regret everything in your life, but it's never going to get you forward.
Excuses are the easy way out. They're a lazy person's reason why they didn't get somewhere. Everyone uses an excuse, including myself, some point in a day, in a week, in a year, in a month. It's how often do we make excuses, and how often do we use these excuses to blame other people or other things from not getting what we want? That's what it comes down to. Excuses are human nature. We're all going to make them. But at the end of the day, some make them way more often than others, and some live by excuses where others say, oh, shoot, I just made an excuse. I can't do that. That's not okay. That needs to stop. That needs to change. That pattern needs to switch.
Right. Now, like you probably can't get rid of every excuse because I think we're always going to make them just predetermined, right? What are some of the ways that you have learned to just kind of almost eliminate them completely from your life?
When I feel that I'm going to make one or make a statement that's an excuse, I try to take a timeout and think before I say it. Because if I don't do that, that excuse is going to come out and I'm going to believe it for a minute. And that's going to throw my whole mental capacity off. Whereas if I think and I say, slow our roll, hold on, let's not make an excuse here. Let's understand the underlying problem. I find that I'm more successful in whatever I'm doing at that time.
No, absolutely. One of the things that I've heard, a big clear distinction of being either mad or frustrated is usually mad is like irrational behavior, like breaking walls, or both of our names are Kyle. We have the bad stigma of punching holes in the wall. Should I just punch one right now? No, you know what I mean, dude? So like, yeah. So mad is really like uncalculated, irrational behavior, whereas frustrated is almost like you said, you sit back, you kind of think about, obviously it's a natural habitat to have frustration or happiness. There's different emotions that we all have as humans, but frustration is more like, you sit back, like you said, you kind of calculate how you're going to say something. That way you don't offend somebody. You try to just say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. You said this, obviously in my situation, I felt differently, but I'm not going to go out and attack you physically, but I do want to sit down and talk about maybe not saying those words. Like, frustration is much different than getting mad.
No, I agree. And again, two human emotions that will never go away. Everyone gets mad. Everyone gets frustrated. And if you don't have passion. If you don't care. Right. So if you don't get mad about something, you don't care. Right. Because when you care about something, you get mad. And if you don't care, you don't get mad. Unless it's a situation where I would say on the professional side. On the personal side, I think it's different. I think there's a way you can separate, in your personal relationships, some things not worth getting mad about. There's some things that are just not a big deal. Professionally, when you have that desire to be the best or the want to be nearly perfect and flawless, when things go wrong, you get mad. When things continue to go wrong, you get frustrated. When it happens over and over and over again, you get more frustrated, right? And then you have to figure out how to solve it.
That's a fair point. Very fair point. Now, all this is great, right? 10 minutes on motivation, 10 minutes on kind of breaking down what motivates you and obviously different facets of that. I mean, do you take any time for yourself? Do you go on vacation? It seems like you work a lot, but do you take time for yourself?
I mean, I work a lot. Let's put it that way. I work a lot. Do I take time for myself? I'm able to take more time now than ever because I have a staff now. Before I didn't really have a staff. And what that looks like is, when I feel like I need time, I'm going to take it. But at the end of the day, if I feel like I don't need time and I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. How I normally work is I go really hard from holiday to holiday. So, for example, I'll go really hard from New Year's Day to whatever that I think like
Memorial Day.
Easter. And then I'll go really hard from Easter to Memorial Day, then Memorial Day till 4th of July, 4th of July to Labor Day to Columbus Day to Thanksgiving to Christmas. I mean, I do this every year, so I know how it works. And I just tell myself I'm going to go hard to those dates and I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to go hard to those dates and take 3 days off, like around depending on whatever day it is or whatever. So that's how I usually operate. And it gives you a goal, something to reach towards. Hey, I went really hard and now I'm going to take 2 days and do nothing and not really focus. I'm going to take my mind off of it.
Yeah, I think that's important for any business or any facet, whatever industry you might be in. And even myself, the financial advising lifestyle, like that's a lifestyle just like yours in real estate where, working a lot, obviously you got to make the client happy. You got to make sure the client's in good hands, just like in your situation, right? It's a very client facing role.
So client centric, man.
That's what it's about. And I think B2C is way more dynamic than B2B. I've done B2B, like wholesaling with other businesses, and that's a different relationship. This is more like personal, right? Like I get to know people's families. They invite me to their boats. I mean, cookouts, I get it all. And I'm sure you've had that luxury as well.
Yeah, all the time. B2B is, in my opinion, more of an order taker. B2C is more of a real salesperson. You really need to understand and value a relationship. Where B2B is, hey, look, I work for this company. You work for this company. You need a stint. I sell stints. Just buy my stints. That's what it comes down to. Or I sell hospital beds. You need hospital beds. You're going to use us. We're Stryker. That is what it is. Right? Hospital's going to buy as many beds as the hospital needs. We have to eat what we kill. We have to be out on the hunt, on the grind every day, building relationships, growing our business, understanding people, caring about people. That's what it comes down to.
No, certainly. You made a very good point there of, B2C is more, in a sense, like building a relationship and having that ground structure. It's much, much different. Like you said, it's very transactional on the B2B side.
B2C is like dating almost, in the sense that every single client is a first date. Every single one of them is basically you're sizing them up, they're sizing you up. Does this work? Does this fit? It may not fit for you. It may not fit for me. I don't know. But we're going to figure it out. We're going to go down that path.
Interesting. Yeah, we talked a lot, man. From real estate to motivation, where you're at. I can't believe we're almost at 30 minutes. It's crazy. So last but not least, I want to give you an opportunity, because the idea of Small Business Mondays, obviously we broke down a lot of different things, which is great because people get to know who you are, right, as a person, which I think is the most important thing when you're doing B2C, is building that relationship, knowing who you're working with, that kind of personality, who it might be. Now, how can people get involved? And, obviously you're selling homes. Like if somebody's looking for their first home, like how do they reach out to you? What are the ways?
Yeah, it's very simple. I keep it really, really easy. It's a phone call or a text. And my number is very simple. It's 508-726-3492. And, it's you have a question, you want to buy, you want to sell, you don't understand. You want to know how the market is. I get questions and calls literally since we've been on this. I have 46 text messages in the half an hour. So and it's 8 o'clock at night. Just
You're gonna get a lot more right now.
that's all good. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. I'm here to help. I love to add value. I love to help people. But it's a phone call, it's a text message, whatever, whenever, anything you guys need.
No, that's awesome, Kyle. Definitely appreciate you coming on the show, man. Love to see you come on again, especially if you want to dive deeper in obviously different topics. Obviously, you know, we did real estate motivation. I think there's a lot of other things that we could talk about. Keep doing those videos, man. It motivates me anyway. I think there's a lot of people that really like what you're doing.
Yeah, I get a ton of feedback. I didn't do one this morning. It was a hectic day, and I'm making an excuse. See how I just caught myself making an excuse? Not going to let it happen. I told myself I'd be back on tomorrow, so I'm back tomorrow.
That's awesome. I think I'm going to run out of lighting by the time we're done. No, it's getting darker as the day's going on. I didn't put my light on. Kyle, once again, thanks, man. Come on again. Love to have you. And once again, just showing this here. Anybody that needs help, real estate, you know, Kyle's your guy.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right.